Hello and welcome to the Best and Worst Pictures podcast. I'm your host, Jake, and with me, as always, my good co-host, Ian.
I'm Ian.
And joining us for the last time is my other respectable co-host, Mud. How you doing?
Doing all right. Gonna miss this place.
What is this show, you might ask? Every other week, we sit down and watch a Best Picture winner and determine one of the best or worst pictures as compared to the other winners. And this week, we're discussing the 28th Best Picture winner ever, which is, of course, the hit classic film, Marty, the shortest one. And to start us off, Mud has collected some fun facts about the film, which Ian and I have not heard ahead of time. So, Mud, take it away.
I have one fun fact of this film. It's the shortest one.
That is the fun
only
fact.
thing we all know.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jake. So this film was released on April 11th, 1955, and it was released by United Artists, actually.
Nice.
It currently boasts a 7.7 out of 10 IMDb, 98% Rotten Tomato critics, 87% Rotten Tomato audience, and I couldn't track down a Metacritic score,
Okay.
but I didn't try that hard.
Try that hard.
Yeah. So the film was directed by Delbert Mann.
What a name.
For other works he did, he actually mostly did television
Okay.
work over film, including a 1979 adaptation of All Quiet on the Western Front.
Okay.
This was his directorial debut.
Ooh,
Damn.
Okay.
That is nuts.
Winning an Oscar.
So let's
on
get
a
into the
directorial debut.
cast. Ernest Borneen, I believe is his name.
Sure.
Borneen.
Mm-hmm.
Borgnine.
Probably Borneen.
Borneen. He's known for two things. He was an extra or a minor character in From Here to Eternity. And this is my favorite fun fact of all time. He was Mermaid Man.
Ha! Oh my god. The main character, this is the Mermaid Man?
Yep.
That's
The
amazing.
main actor was Mermaid Man on
No
SpongeBob.
fucking way.
I wonder if I can
Deadass.
hear it. I wonder.
I don't know.
Mermaid Man.
And Barnacle
Champions of the Deep.
No
Yeah.
way. That's so cool.
He also starred in that 1979 adaptation of All Quiet, which he received a Primetime Emmy nomination for.
Awesome.
The lead actress is Betsy Blair, who mostly did stage work.
She's Barnacle Boy.
She almost lost her role in this film due to being blacklisted.
Oh.
We'll talk about that more.
Great.
And finally, Joe Mantell,
Mm-hmm.
who was in Chinatown
Okay.
and its sequel. Did you know Chinatown has a sequel?
Is it called Chinatown 2?
Chinatoon?
Chinatoon?
No, it's called The Two Jakes.
Yeah,
I've heard of that movie.
that's
I've not.
2/3 of our show.
He was formerly.
Formerly known as 2/3 spot quality content.
He was in 2 episodes of The Twilight Zone.
Okay,
Yep.
nice.
Nervous Man in the $4 Room and Steel.
Steel is the boxing one.
Yes.
that-
Real Steel is
Real-
the boxing one.
They're both based on the same thing.
Yeah, and I also believe Mantell was in the television broadcast that Marty is adapted from.
Nice. That's cool.
Okay.
So, let's get into those fun facts. Marty is the second film ever to win both the Palme d'Or and the Best Picture award at the Academy Awards. The first film was The Lost Weekend. The next film to do so will be Parasite, which is currently the penultimate episode of this show.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It goes
The Lost Weekend,
the last weekend,
Marty, 7
Marty.
years later.
64 years later. Parasite.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
nuts.
That's wild.
That
So,
is crazy.
as I mentioned before, this film is based on a 1953 teleplay with Mantell playing the same character.
Oh, cool. That's
Okay.
awesome.
Burt Lancaster produced this film. He was in From Here to Eternity last week. Rod Steiger, who was in On the Waterfront as Charlie, that's Marlon Brando's character's brother.
Yep.
Rod Steiger declined the offer to reprise his role as Marty from the teleplay. So in the original broadcast of this on television, Rod Steiger was Marty.
Awesome. Okay.
Lancaster and Harold Heicht, the other producer, wanted him to sign a multi-picture deal contract should this film prove successful, and he said no.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. The film was completed in 19 days, including reshoots. Yep.
All right. How long do I have to make this movie? 3 weeks. I can do it in 19 days.
Yeah, that's including 3 days of reshoots.
That's wild.
Nancy Marchand, who played Blair's character in the teleplay, was initially going to reprise her role, but Blair threatened to withdraw from another film called It's Always Fair Weather if she wasn't given this part. And despite being blacklisted and almost getting pulled from any roles at all, she got it.
That's wild.
She bullied another girl out of this film.
Good.
wow.
Mm-hmm. And the budget of this film was $350,000. Adjusted for inflation, today that would be a $3.5 million budget.
That's a lot, actually.
That's nuts.
It's a fair amount for
Yeah.
a small film. You know,
Yeah.
that's the budget that makes like a Sorry to Bother You.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So imagine if Sorry to Bother You won.
That's wild.
All right, so we got some ceremony facts.
The ceremony facts always range between, oh, that's interesting, though. What the hell?
So another Japanese film won Best Picture this
What
year.
the hell?
Best foreign language film. Do you want to guess what it was?
Seventh Samurai 2.
No, it was Samurai 1, Musashi Miyamoto, which came out in 1954, and stars Toshiro Mufin, who was Kikuchiyo in Seven Samurai. Claudette Colbert was one of the hosts. We've talked about her before. Edith Head received nominations in black and white and colored costume design, but didn't win either.
What the fuck?
I know.
Come on.
And finally, my favorite fact, the Best Picture this year, the award was presented by Audrey Hepburn.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. So, as for the awards it won, Ernest took home Best Actor, beating Frank Sinatra, Spencer Tracy, James Dean, and James Cagney.
Damn.
Was this Frank Sinatra as a heroin addict year?
I don't know. Did you
You said that last
heroin
week.
addict?
You said that last time.
Oh, yeah,
where
that, I don't
he-
know if it's the same movie.
Okay.
I only look into the Best Picture.
Okay.
Fuck everything else. And Patty Chayefsky took home Best Screenplay. Blair lost Best Supporting Actress to Jo Van Fleet for East of Eden. Mantell lost Best Supporting Actor to Jack Lemmon for Mr. Roberts.
We fucking love Jack Lemmon here.
Ted Hayworth, Walter M. Simmons, and Robert Prestley lost Best Direction, Black and White, Art Direction, Black and White, to Rose Tattoo. And Joseph Lachelle lost Best Cinematography, Black and White, to Rose Tattoo. Mann took home Best Director, beating Elia Kazan and John Sturges, who would direct Mag 7. So I got both of the 7s in this.
Both 7s. Get the Chris Pratt one in next.
What did Elia Kazan direct this year?
I think he directed Rose Tattoo.
Okay.
And finally, it won Best Picture, beating out The Rose Tattoo, Mr. Roberts, Picnic, and Love is a Many Splendored Thing.
It's a terrible title for a
Yes,
film.
it is.
You know, kind of want to watch Rose Tattoo because Elia Kazan only knows how to make bangers.
Mm-hmm. I believe it was Rose Tattoo. I can double check while we're watching the film. And finally, our Mary Pickford fact.
The best part.
There is a cocktail called the Mary Pickford. It is made with white rum, fresh pineapple juice, grenadine, and
Maraschino cherries?
maraschino liqueur.
Ooh, that actually sounds fire.
It is shaken and chilled, often served with a maraschino cherry.
Nice. That sounds really good, actually.
According to Old Hollywood legend, it is said to have been created for her in the 1920s by either Eddie Wolk or Freddie Kaufman at the Hotel Nequion de Cuba on a trip she was taking to Havana with Charlie Chaplin and Douglas Fairbanks.
Wow.
I know.
Goddamn.
Oh, and that was during the Prohibition era,
Yep, that makes sense.
because that's Mary Pickford's style. So yeah, that's all the fun facts about Marty. The fun facts lasted longer than the film will.
Probably. This movie's only an hour and a half long.
We just saw Marty, the shortest Best Picture ever. How are we feeling?
Thank God it's short.
Glad it's short.
Yeah, same. This is a
It's
mixed
tough.
bag. I
It's a
know you
mixed
guys
bag.
are probably more like very into
I-
the negative, but I'm in a mixed
I
territory.
actually don't think it's a mixed bag. I think it's mostly bad. Like, there's a little bit of good in there, but it's overshadowed by it being bad and then just ending.
I've seen this film done better.
Yeah.
Yep. What do you guys think about the character of Marty?
Interesting, actually. I'll say interesting.
Marty-
I liked him because we get his major gripes before he meets his love interest. Because
Yep.
he goes up to his mom and he's like, "I'm fat, I'm ugly, nobody likes me, I'm awkward." Usually they kind of save that for like the Dark Night of the Soul moment of the
Yep,
film where he
yep.
finally breaks down. But he has that like 15 minutes in, and it's like, okay, that establishes a lot about him, and he's self-conscious. You know,
Yep.
I
Mhm.
feel like he was a fleshed out character before he even went to the dance.
Right. And then that thing you're talking about where he addresses his own problems only comes up again at the very end of the movie. So the whole movie is him having the self-confidence of an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
But to his credit, he's very sweet and kind-hearted as well. And
He's the character of Marty made me feel bad because I hate myself, so that's tough. But like, I feel like
hate me too, man.
I
get
feel
it.
like he's a really interesting character, but in the same breath, he does that weird like, "Why won't you kiss me?" Make the
it
he
gets
kind
some
of
real
like
50s logic.
he kind of like almost guilt trips her in that scene to liking him more.
Oh yeah, it's pretty
it's pretty
rough.
bad.
Yep.
And I think, other than that, I don't dislike his character. I think part of what makes me not like his character is the dialogue in this movie is recursive as shit and not good.
Yes.
He repeats himself a lot. He's like, my dad was ugly, and then he'll say the rest of the sentence. He'll be like, my dad was ugly, and I don't know if it's like the nerves because she does it too, and then it's like, well, that's weird, and then like his grandmother will say something. That's just, his mother will say something, and it's very
You know
samey.
what? Ian, I think I can hit you on the head with this one. It's very Uncut Gems style dialogue. Remember that movie?
But
Remember
that
fucking
movie is
annoying
like
the
that.
dialogue is?
That movie is like that to cause like panic and confusion and like chaos in your mind while you're watching it. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's
but it
kind of
just
the point.
pisses you off.
But in this movie, it's not supposed to be like that. It's just not good.
I want to compliment the movie backhandedly. I want to say that it does a really good job being aware of this time period and the expectations of being a man, because he's only 34 and everyone around him keeps pushing him to get married. Even in this time setting, 34 is not that old, but the context is if you're that old, you got to settle down, otherwise you're just going to die alone. There's that whole mentality.
Yeah.
The problem with it, even though I do like that aspect, is that it's very repetitive with that.
He gets it told to him twice in the opening scene,
I think this
like
movie's,
within 3 minutes.
I think
Yeah.
the movie's 90 minutes because the people editing the movie are probably like, wow, every single scene is like this. Better trim it down.
Every single scene is the same. There's also a lot of stretches in that 90 minutes where there's no dialogue, especially when Clara and Marty are meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hot take about Clara. She's not a character. She's just a vessel in which we explore Marty. She's not actually a character. What do we know about her besides she's a teacher? Like, seriously.
She has a job opportunity in Portchester, but she's not going to take it because she doesn't want to be too far away from her dad because she thinks her dad needs her. She also got stood up on a blind date and doesn't consider herself very attractive. She's not a character. She's a reflection of Marty, and they help each other grow. I'm going to challenge you on this.
Okay, but we don't learn anything about her because she's in the movie for maybe 15 minutes, 20
we
minutes.
do learn plenty about her. I just told you so much about her. You can't say we don't know anything about her.
Oh my God. You're really... All right. Yes, you're correct. I'm going to say we learn those 3 things about her as all he does is talk about himself the entire time. We learn more about Marty on his date with Clara than we learn about Clara.
But that's a reflection of his character. He gets nervous and he starts talking too much. She gets nervous and she shuts down.
That is an interesting angle.
That's a good point.
While watching the movie, I'm still I was leaning more towards like Mud's side in the sense that her character is established. She's a reflection of Marty in the sense that she's very soft-spoken and self-conscious, but instead of Marty who talks his head off out of nervousness, she just quiets the hell down. But a byproduct of that is that we don't get to hear her a whole lot. The only time that she gets to really speak a lot is when she's at home with her family because she's comfortable there.
No, and I understand that. And I'm not saying she's a amazing 3-dimensional holy shit look at this character.
Yeah.
But I'm saying she's not as one note as you are making her out to be.
Understandable.
More importantly, a lot of what Marty talks about is usually really superficial stuff because he's just so nervous that he's rambling.
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah.
That being said, the dialogue in this film can be very rough. I do agree
It's
with that,
very
and it's
bad,
very
yeah.
repetitive.
I
And
just-
it toes the line between being like repetitive but good because that's in character, and just like, oh, you are trying to fill the
Yep.
runtime here because this film's 90 minutes. It's based on a teleplay, which I can't imagine was more than an hour long.
Yep.
No.
And there's a lot of scenes where this movie spins its wheels. I can point out something in particular that really feels tacked on is at the end of the film, and I mean the end of the goddamn film,
Yep.
there's like less than 10 minutes left. Marty's mother and aunt, who both live with him now, are talking, and Marty's aunt is like, it's going to happen to you soon. Your son's going to say, hey, Ma, let's move out of the family house. Let's go to some nice new apartment. And the next thing you know, you're getting kicked out because your son's getting married and his wife doesn't like you.
Yeah.
And she goes, that won't happen to me. And then Marty comes in and goes, hey, Ma, this house is kind of falling apart. Maybe we should move to an apartment. Offhandedly, with no setup to that. There's been plenty of this film set in his apartment. You could have set up that maybe, or his house. You could set up it's a little run down. And then like his mom's like giving like the death glare to him. They don't say anything. And he walks out. That's not only the end of the scene.
That's the end of that plot line.
That's the end of that plot line.
Yeah.
That just got established. And I'm like, what the fuck was the point of that?
Can I say, Mud, I think maybe I don't like Clara's character because she doesn't have anything outside of Marty and her parents' interaction. And that one parent scene's like 2 minutes long. So we only see her interacting with Marty, and she's barely interacting. I would have liked a stronger tie to her, I guess.
That's fair.
Because this movie doesn't really have any ties except Marty to me. Like, I like his mother because, you know, a little old Italian Nana. Good. Cool.
I think a lot of the criticism. Okay, so actually, to tie this in, my first note was, "Oh my god, it's 90 minutes long. I'm so excited." But a lot of the problems I have with Marty are the fact that it doesn't go into a lot of territory. It doesn't do a lot with Claire. They could do so much more with her.
Skims a lot of surface level
Skims
stuff.
a lot of surface level, and then at the end, it has the problem where it just ends. So
Oh, yeah.
you could absolutely tack on another 20 minutes at the end. You can develop the plot lines throughout the
Especially
movie.
because they don't stick to one plot in this film. There's
No.
Marty's mom's,
His cousins.
his aunt, his friends. Like, there's so much going on here, and it's
Mhm.
like, I think this film could have benefited from just being about Clara and Marty's first night together. Not necessarily a date, but just them getting to know each other, like Before Sunrise,
It's
Mhm.
funny because
which is a film I brought up while we were watching it.
This movie is almost what you're describing. It's
Yeah.
close to being
But
that.
like, there's so many just subplots that go nowhere. Like Marty's cousin, who does not love his wife
Yep.
at
No,
all.
I
Like,
love
he
his wife.
fucking hates
Okay,
her.
I will defend his presence in the movie. Although, again, same criticism, should have been there more. The cousin and everybody, like, because everybody turns on Marty after pushing him to get a wife.
When are you gonna get married? When are you get married? Well,
Yep.
not to her, but in general.
Yeah, because when he gets her, everybody feels threatened because the mom feels like he's going to overlook the mom, and then his freaking cousin, who hates his marriage and hates his wife, is
Yeah.
like, Marty, don't screw yourself, stay young, or don't get married. And he's like, well, what the fuck, bitch? Everyone's been telling me to get married. So, but because Marty is like a self-conscious, like a not a self-confident person, he doesn't have the balls to say, okay, I'll do whatever I want to. He's only going to be like, all right, I'll cave to everything around me. And it's at the end of the movie that's supposed to be the end of that arc with him.
Yeah.
The execution could have been a lot better, but that character, the cousin in the movie, that's kind of supposed to push that plot line along.
I get it. I felt like he was really overcooked. Like, every scene he's in is arguing with this woman, and they want to make it, oh, the problem is that his mom, Marty's aunt, lives with them. And, like, they're pushing this subplot that, you know, wives and mother-in-laws don't get along at all. And it's like,
Yeah.
it doesn't go anywhere or do enough for the film to warrant it being in the film. Especially because with the way they fucking argue, I'm like, it's not just the mom that's the problem
no,
here.
It's not. It's the
Clearly.
marriage, for
Yep.
sure.
Absolutely.
And some of the 50s era ideology of this film is holy shit. It's fucking crazy. Like, there's a scene where, like, Marty's mom and Marty's aunt are talking, and Marty's aunt's basically like, what is a woman over 40 good for if she's not providing for her adult children? And
Okay.
I'm like, holy shit.
Yes, but the movie directly like dives into, because this movie, I will give it credit, is self-aware of the weird mindset of everybody get married before you're 30.
To some degree, it is.
To some degree,
I
it is.
think it's self-aware but not challenging, and that makes it bad.
It challenges parts. It challenges the idea of getting married when you're 30, otherwise
It
you're a
doesn't
failure.
challenge it because he wants to marry her.
Well, no, potentially, maybe. I
He
don't know.
does. He says, I'll
he
marry
says,
her.
I'll marry her.
Yeah.
He doesn't
Multiple
propose,
times.
but he wants to.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, but like, well, that's part of the how do I explain it? It's more like the Marty made a decision for himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's not challenging the idea.
Yeah, a man making a decision for himself in the 50s. Wow, what a challenge.
But a man who's self-conscious like Marty and only gets bullied the entire movie by everybody around him. You know, like.
But he's still.
But he doesn't challenge that societal norm. He caves to it.
It's not that he caves to it. It's that he finally finds someone to do it with. He's not against the idea of marriage.
Yeah.
He says so. He's like, I want to get married. I want to be happy. I'm
Yeah.
just awkward. It's not a challenge to that. It's Marty's character's like, yes, I do want to do these things. And the pressure everyone's putting on me isn't helping.
Yeah, and I wish they explored that more than they did.
Exactly.
That I
Because
agree with.
This movie would have been better, in my opinion, if they either challenged the societal norms, like with the mother stuff, like, oh, what good is it? Maybe I can get a hobby. Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can fend for myself. Like, not fend for myself, but like actually work on myself and do things I wanted to do now that
Exist
I don't have
outside
anything.
of my adult
Mhm.
son.
Or make him not really care about getting married. And when he finally finds somebody, he's like, you know what? That's cool. This works because I really enjoy this person. I didn't need to force myself to get married and be in a loveless relationship like my cousin. I found someone I really care about. Like shit like that. But instead it's like, all the same hooky mooky garbage that's always in every 50s movie. I don't know. It feels like they started getting an inkling of it and then lost it. This movie's a lot of squandered potential, in my opinion. And you know what?
Really
Can I
agree with
even
that.
say that we talked about the dialogue in the script being bad? I'm going to challenge the script being bad because all of this feels like Act 1 to something.
Act 1, beginning of Act 2.
Yep. There's no second act, basically. Like, you can argue when he meets her, it's the beginning of the second act, but that's like a really shitty start to a second act. Like, if you storyboarded this movie for me, I'd be like, yeah, this is garbage. Don't make this.
And I don't think there's really much of a reason for Marty's friends to hate her other than they think she's kind of plain looking.
Yeah, oh, looks like she's, A, she doesn't look 50. She looks her age. And B, like, I don't like her because she don't look pretty. All right, starve.
Yeah, that's great, bro. I'll be over here happy. You
Yeah,
can be
like,
fucking miserable.
What a shit. The Dark Knight of the Soul is that Angie doesn't like his fucking girlfriend. Blow me, movie.
Yeah. What did you guys say? That interaction you guys had once where you talked about whether or not.
Because Jake's girlfriend was talking about how she like one of her friends didn't like one of her friend's boyfriends, and she's like, oh, maybe blah blah blah, and it's like, Jake, what? And Jake was like, Ian, what if I told you I didn't like your girlfriend? And I'm like, yeah, I'll see you at work. Like, I don't fucking care. You're not dating my girlfriend.
Yeah, men are different in that context. Stereotypically, men would be different ideologies than women because, like, women will talk to each other about the men that they have, and one of them can just be like, I don't like him, and the other would be like, wow, you don't like him? All right, I'll factor that into my decision. And then we were talking stereotypically, like, oh, a man would be like, oh, blah blah blah. Well, I don't like her. Okay. Well, you're not dating her, so
Yeah.
I don't fucking care what you think.
see you later.
So
You know,
if you come to me with legitimate criticism, like, oh, I think she is using you for money, or oh, I think she's fucking other dudes, and here's like proof, then like, yeah, I'm gonna take that in consideration. But if you're just like, I don't like her attitude, I'd be like, cool, I spend more time with her than you do.
I'm gonna throw out something that we've been saying a lot, which is if the idea was they don't like her because she upsets the status quo of the group, like, you know, Marty and his friends, his hooligan friends.
Yep.
They don't fucking do a good job establishing that because at the beginning of the film, it's established that Marty doesn't do anything.
None of them do anything.
He's not going out with his boys every night. If they had established, like, oh, I'm going out drinking with the guys, we're going to play pool. And his mom was like, Marty, you're always going out with the guys drinking and playing pool. When are you going to get a wife? And he's like, fuck off, Ma. That would be better.
A better film. That's exactly what I said.
But
Going against the status quo.
What they establish is Marty's character. He's an introvert. He doesn't do anything. He goes home. You can't have it both ways.
Yep.
You know, you got to, if you want to establish that his friends don't like her because she upsets the status quo needs to be something other than let's have one beer at 6 p.m. and call it a night.
And you know what? At the end of the movie when they're going out, you know what they're doing? Sitting there doing nothing, deciding what to do for 30 minutes.
Yep.
If we had seen that before and seen Marty enjoy it, you know, and like been like, oh, these are my boys. Every night we have a great night. What do you want to do?
Let's enjoy sitting at the bus station
No, but my
determining
point
what
is-
to do.
But like Marty being like, oh, I have a great time with my boys every night. And it cuts to that. What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? What do I want to do? This guy asks me, which was an actual line.
Yeah, like, this movie's dog shit. Honestly, the more we talk about it, the less I like it.
I'm kind of in the same boat.
Because there's a lot of things, and you know what? This movie's not technically impressive either. A couple banger songs play when they're in the club because 50s clubs were turned. There's not a lot of good shots. There's every cut in this movie, you can tell when it's about to cut because the video quality drops and then fades. It's so funny. I could go, and it's about to cut. And
And
then
then like a second later, the fade to black would start.
Yeah, there's some weird bad ADR in this movie.
Oh, there's some weird scenes where they're talking and walking down the street, and it's like it's just off enough that you're like, is this scene dubbed over?
It is because so the scene I'm thinking about in particular right now is right when they pass the train, the subway train passes above them, and it's really really loud. So they would have, in order to get the audio in the shot, it has to be dubbed over.
Yeah.
And her mouth moves like a second before the dialogue, and then stops a second before the dialogue, and it's like you couldn't have matched that
I'm
anywhere.
thinking of that exact scene. There's also a moment where I think she either inhales or sighs, but there's no noise. You see her
She just
mouth. You see her
smiling.
mouth change its shape. No, like you know, like or like a like you see her
Yeah.
lips move as some air passes out, but there's no noise.
It's so funny. But it's bad. Like there's no bad green screen or rotoscoping, which thank fucking God.
It was a pretty shoestring budget. There's
Yeah.
no need for
But
rotoscoping or anything like
This
that.
feels like an old TV show.
Well, it was a teleplay.
Yep. And that's the biggest crime for me is things that are based off of old TV shows that are nominated for or win Best Picture. MASH fucking blow.
MASH turned into a TV show.
Yeah, but felt like a TV show movie.
It did.
Like, it's like if you tried to make Cheers the movie.
It's like, okay, so in the past when we've watched bad ones like The Greatest Show on Earth, there's been a pretty obvious reason for why it won over everything else. Either it's politics or favors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Greatest Show won because McCarthy era politics said that, oh, two blacklisted people worked on the films that were going to win.
Yep.
Nope. This one, I couldn't find anything about calling it an upset or anything.
And there's a blacklisted actress in it.
Yeah.
That's
So
true.
I'm sitting here wondering, what the fuck is Rose Tattoo? That
Elliot
didn't win?
Cousin.
I
He
need
was-
to see this film
So
now.
you
I need to
remember when we were
understand.
talking? What was it? On the waterfront.
Yeah.
Also, Elliot Cousin. You were talking about he was getting blacklisted and ended up doing that. I think.
No, he didn't get blacklisted. He fucking sold everyone else out to not get blacklisted.
Yes, exactly. He was about to get blacklisted.
I'm gonna hit you with. We're talking about technically impressive things. There's a couch door.
There is.
That is. It's just a normal door, but it is a couch.
No, it's a couch store.
It's true. So therefore, it is immediately praised that 1 second of the movie. And then I have one more note. I don't know.
Well, I want to finish my my point on Elliot Cousin real quick.
Sure, go ahead.
I think the fact that he was still a controversial figure could have played a role. In something like that.
waterfront won.
But it got. That's like immediate. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he just sold everybody out. You know, maybe. But then it's
I
like,
don't know.
oh, they need to distance ourselves from guy we were gonna blacklist, and then. Mhm.
I'm not sure because there is a blacklisted actress in this film.
Yeah. So it's weird. It's definitely weird.
It's really weird.
But she barely plays a part. He directed the whole movie.
That's fair, but she's still the lead actress.
I
Yeah.
love this show has
And-
just become speculating on politically why each movie won with McCarthyism and shit like that.
And like the Hays
Oh,
Code and World War II. Like
Yep,
each
yep.
era has a new problem.
He didn't-
Right.
I don't think he directed Rose Tattoo.
Oh,
He
which
directed
one?
East of Eden.
East of Eden. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Either way, I want to watch Rose Tattoo now.
James Dean. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
But like each era has its own problems. Like the 30s, it's the run up to World War II. The 40s, it's the Hays Code. Now we're into McCarthyism. I wonder what's going to be the plague of the 60s that you guys will find out.
A lot of there's fun fact, communism's not gonna end till like a
Red-
long time.
Yeah, but I don't want to do Red Scare 2 decades in a row. That's boring.
Yeah, but Red Scare lasted
Red
multiple
Scare's
decades.
still going on.
Yeah, but it's not as disgustingly prevalent, I guess would be the way to put it. It's not as disgustingly prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's gonna die down after the 80s, and then the 90s is more like what is it? Desert Storm 90s.
Yeah, that's when we'll transition to like the Middle East being the enemy.
That 2001. Then we're gonna get there.
Well, it was run up to it. It didn't just happen. Desert Storm was 91.
Yeah, it's gonna go from McCarthyism to straight up Red Scare communism, like
McCarthyism is
Tenfold.
Red Scare communism.
but like tenfold Red Scare communism.
I don't know. What
We're gonna get to space race communism,
Hmm.
and then we're gonna get to oh shit, we're gonna fucking die, and we're gonna get to Korea Vietnam communism.
Mm-hmm. It's on its way.
Vietnam era communism will definitely be the 70s. I'm going with drugs for the 60s.
Maybe.
People love their drugs. The film's super surface level. If they had cut some of the fat and just focused on Marty and Clara and their characters, I think it could have been a lot stronger. You don't
Infinitely.
even have to cut that much. Just his fucking aunt and his cousins.
You don't
Way
have to cut
too
that
much
much 'cause
time.
I don't
wasted
think you
on
cut
them.
the cousins. I think you cut the aunt stuff though.
Yeah,
If you're self-aware about something and not challenging something, it
It's
just makes
like
it
when a
bad.
writer writes in, "Oh well, that was lazy screenwriting."
Let me throw the lampshade on there.
let me throw this into the mix. Can you imagine on the first day you meet the girl you like, you sit her down with your mother. You sit her down with your mother to have an extensive conversation about how important getting married is. The first day you meet the girl you like.
That is really weird.
Oh yeah, it was at like 1 a.m. too. They had an extensive conversation, and they had a conversation about where the mother goes when this happens.
I would never bring her home. I don't care if it's like Gal Gadot. I'm not bringing her home again.
dude.
It's so awkward.
Dude, I will date girls for over a year before they meet my parents.
That
she
is
was
really
like, but
strange.
she was like, "Where's the mother supposed to go in this situation?" And it's like, away.
Yeah.
You leave.
You
Well,
leave
No,
me
you
at
don't
home.
leave. The son
See,
leaves.
for me, it depends on how much. When you were just talking about meeting parents over a year, it depends on how much you like your parents, I guess. Because like I would, if especially and how comfortable you were with the relationship. Like if you feel like it's going well, you can be like,
Mhm.
oh, parent thing, and be like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if it's like, if it's more of like a having fun instead of serious, and then it turns serious, you could be like, oh, I think it's time to meet my parents. But it's cool. You know what I
It's
mean?
tangential to what we're talking about. The
Yeah.
point is that scene is very awkward, but also kind of funny in its awkwardness.
Yeah.
Because like her mom, like Marty's mom's just like, when a son gets married, what's the mother supposed to do? And
It's
like,
funny too, because like Marty himself, like the only reason that scene continued was because Marty was too much of a pushover to say no.
It's like you should be in a rush with all your siblings because whoever gets married last is gonna have to take care of specifically your mother.
Yep,
That's
Weird.
it's
so
a weird
stupid.
mindset. That was her mindset by the end of it too.
Yeah. Well, it's because there was that mindset back in the day that like after a certain point, the children are now expected to take care of the parents,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not because the parents can't take care of themselves, but
Yep.
supposed to pay it back, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
But there's no.
But you're
it's not
supposed to do that when they're older, not when they're.
Yeah, you're
Still
supposed
fine.
to do that
It's-
when they
it's also-
need it.
It's also not really an issue because it's not an ultimatum. Like you can take
They
care of her,
treat
and
it like it's an ultimatum.
they do. They definitely do.
It's
It's
So-
either your wife or your mother. Freud would love this film.
Yep.
Oh my god.
100%. And I would not love this film because I would give this film a 4 out of 10.
Are you losing power? What the fuck was that?
I was
a
talking.
You sound like a
Four?
robot
A
slowing
little
down.
bit of Kirk in there. No, I would give it a 4 out of 10. I'm still somewhat mixed, but leaning negative.
I'm also feeling a 4.
Oh, really?
I'm
I expect
feeling
you
one
lower.
lower than you guys.
It's so brief that it doesn't leave that bad of a taste.
That's an excellent point.
I think we're at another 3. It's just not good.
It's just, yeah, it's not a good
I think
movie.
So-
4 is teetering too close to something that I might like.
So you guys remember last time when we watched On the Waterfront and we were like, "Oh man, the 50s is back. The 50s are back."
50s
Yeah,
are
the
back.
50s
All
have
right,
been
where's
back.
this one going?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you where
Oh,
this...
well, the best one's On the Waterfront, and the worst one's still fucking Hamlet.
The best one is The Lost Weekend, and the worst one is Cavalcade.
Gentleman's Agreement, greatest show on earth for the last time.
Boom. Damn.
Man, what did I give All the King's Men? I'm going. It's in between Gone with the Wind and All the King's Men.
Mud, this is your last probably show. I mean,
Last show as a regular host.
as a regular host, you might pop in
Yeah.
every so often.
I gotta go do other stuff now because I'm
Important
an
life
adult.
things.
It
You-
sucks.
It does suck, but it's also important opportunities and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So we will see you around when we see you around. And thank you so much for 28 episodes of this oddly specific Best Picture show and fun facts.
I have a question.
Yes.
Which one was All the King's Men?
That one.
That's the political one from the end of the 40s, where the guy is Huey Lewis in the news.
He was doing all the speeches of the campaigns, and he talked like the guy. I was talking like
Did
this.
I watch
He was
this
in
one?
something.
You
He
did
was in
watch
something
it.
you guys watched.
Listen to the episode that you are in with this one.
He's in something you guys watched.
Yeah. Yeah, he's in the Black Cat from the old movie.
Oh, okay. So
So
this one's under that.
So
but
Jake,
above
what
the
will
Great
you
Siegfried.
guys be watching next time?
I will tell you what Ian and I and crying no fun facts will be watching next time. We
I'm
are
gonna
going to be
fucking do
watching the 29th Best Picture winner ever, which is of course the hit classic Around the World in 80 Days, which is significant because the one after it is Bridge from the River Kwai, which I'm excited for.
I'm excited for both.